Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my wife's family a large portion of her life insurance money? I lost my wife unexpectedly, and it has been one of the most difficult times in my life. She left me with $200,000 in life insurance, and I used $20,000 of it to cover the funeral expenses. My wife's family is demanding a large portion of the remaining life insurance money. Her parents want to use it to rebuild their home in Florida that was destroyed in a recent hurricane. The thing is, they didn't have insurance, and I don't think it's fair for me to cover their losses with the money that my wife left me. My wife's brother also wants a portion of the money to pay for his college tuition. While I sympathize with his situation, I don't think it's my responsibility to fund his education. My wife left this money to me for a reason, and it's up to me to decide how to use it. When I told my wife's family that I couldn't give them the money they were asking for, they accused me of being selfish and not caring about their situation. They said that my wife would have wanted them to have the money and that I was going against her wishes. I feel terrible for my wife's family, but I also have my own financial responsibilities. I have bills to pay and want to make sure that I can take care of myself in the future. I don't want to put myself in a difficult financial situation by giving away a large portion of the life insurance money. This is an opportunity for me to pay off my debts and buy the dream home me and my wife always wanted. Maybe I am being selfish, but I feel like I am not in the wrong. Me and my wife never really discussed what to do with life insurance money, other than the occasional joke of buying the dream home we want or a starter one. I miss her so terribly. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my wife's family a large portion of her life insurance money? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Death and money can bring out the worst in people. I'm sorry for your loss. I can't say it better than this. Not the a-hole. It's selfish of them to put you through this. Perfect add-on. Look, if your wife wanted her parents and brother money, she would have left them money. She did not, because she wanted you to have it. You paid for her whole funeral. None of them did. Sorry for your loss, but this is your money. Shame on them trying to guilt you. Also, everyone in Florida knows to have homeowners insurance. That is their fault. Not the a-hole. She left you with the money, not them. If she wanted them to have some of it, she should have put it in a will or agreement of some sort to divide the money amongst her chosen parties. Yes, every life insurance policy I've ever had multiple places for beneficiaries, with what percentage you want to go to each party. 1. If you live in Florida and don't have a hurricane insurance, you're not smart. 2. It is absolutely not your responsibility to fund your brother's education. 3. What your wife would or would not have wanted is irrelevant unless there's a will involved. Otherwise, you knew her best, and them using her memory to guilt trip you is freaking disgusting. I would be livid. 4. It's your money to do whatever you want to do with it. Period. You do what you need to do to make your life easier or better while you grieve your wife however you need to. If needed, block contact to the rest of them until they can mind their own financial business. I am so sorry for your loss. I'm married, and I can't even imagine. There aren't words. It's absolutely disgusting to me that her family and yours are acting like nothing better than vultures in the wake of your loss, when they should be supporting you. Utterly reprehensible and selfish. Not a-hole by any stretch of the imagination. 2.5. It was not your late wife's responsibility to fund her brother's education either. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not sharing my inheritance with my sister since she chose to be adopted? I, 30 male, lost my mom when I was 5. Despite being so young, I had a very vivid and treasured memories of my mom and did not take to my dad dating a year after her death well. My dad recognized that he knew this would be hard for me, but said that as the parent/adult he knew what was best. Even it didn't seem that way at first, and that it thanked me in the long run. Not long after that, he married my stepmom Lucy, and when I began to act out over it, my dad said that parenting alone was hard, and that my sister Jessica, 28 female, needed a mom. My dad even got my maternal grandparents to tell me that everything would be fine, and how I needed to be a good boy. That was enough to get me to behave during the wedding, but once Lucy moved in and started redecorating, I started acting out again. My dad had had enough, and just started punishing me whenever I acted out or made Lucy upset, as well as used the "Jessica isn't acting out like this" line. And to be honest, Jessica was easily pleased, and wasn't alive long enough to have the same attachment to our mom as I did. It really upset me when Jessica started calling Lucy Mom, And it really ticked me off when Lucy started referring to me as her son, though I always corrected it when she tried that around me. It got worse when I was 8 and Lucy had her own kids, because then my dad and her started pushing for adoption. Jessica obviously had no problems with it, but I refused. My dad had my maternal grandparents come in again and tell me that adoption wouldn't be that bad, but I still refused. Lucy and my dad pushed for the adoption anyway, but thankfully the judge listened to my feelings in private room and denied it. After that, therapy started, but it didn't last, so they also tried the, since you don't want to be a part of this family, you don't get X or you can't come do Y. But I was too stubborn for that method to work on me. The only one who I felt was on my side was my paternal aunt, who kept sticking up for me whenever she'd see what Lucy and my dad were trying to do. So when I turned 18, I went straight to her. It was when I became a legal adult that my maternal grandparents confessed that they were never okay with the situation. But my dad threatened to keep me and my sister away if they didn't show support. I was furious. So furious that I had my surname legally changed to my mom's maiden name, as I wanted nothing to do with my dad. I'd only ever really talked to my paternal aunt. Fast forward to now, and my grandma has passed away while grandpa died in 2020. And according to their will, only their legal grandchildren is to split a $250,000 inheritance. And since Jessica is legally Lucy's daughter now, all she got was a framed photo of my mom and a letter. Jessica doesn't think it's fair and thinks I should share, but I told her to get money from her legal grandparents. Now, even my aunt thinks I'm being a bit harsh. So, am I the a-hole? Edited to add, because someone asked. It had been 2 years since the last time she'd spoken to either of my grandparents, while she frequently called and interacted with Lucy's parents. Jessica was never close to my mom's side of the family because she'd rather spend time with Lucy's family and or didn't want to hurt their feelings. When Lucy moved in, she and my dad took down all of my mom's pictures and got rid of her things. I wasn't even allowed to keep any pictures in my room, and I would catch heat if I tried to celebrate my mom's birthday, mourn on the anniversary for death, and get punished if I didn't celebrate Mother's Day the way Lucy wanted me to. So yeah, she wasn't the saint of a woman who stepped in when my mom couldn't to me. I don't blame Jessica for choosing to be adopted now. I'm angry at her belief that she should get any money from my grandparents, despite never showing an interest in having a relationship with them once she was 18 plus. They reached out numerous times, but she never bothered, yet has the belief that she's entitled to their money? That is what ticked me off. My mom had a sister who also had kids. I'm not getting the full $250,000. No, I don't expect anyone from Lucy's side to leave me anything, nor would I demand Jessica to share. It would be completely hypocritical. Not the a-hole. Interesting how she only wants to be family now money is involved. She hadn't even spoken to them in 2 years. Given her age at her adoption, and how many years passed prior to her grandparents' death, and the explicit wording of legal grandchildren, I have no doubt that this was crafted after she was adopted, and was very specifically worded as such. Her grandparents knew what they were doing, and where they wanted the money to go. The last time the will was updated/altered was back in 2017. Will you be in Lucy's family's will? If not, will your sister give you part of her portion? Somehow, I think the answer to both questions is no. She can wait till she gets her own inheritance. Not the a-hole. I don't expect to be, nor will I raise a fuss if I'm not. It's honestly disgustingly hypocritical to me. I honestly doubt that Jessica would share anything that she inherits from Lucy's family with me. So there's your answer. Do you expect to inherit from your father or paternal grandparents? Nope. I said goodbye to all that when I went no contact and changed my surname. Am I the a-hole for telling my half-sister she was never entitled to anything my dad owned? My dad died when I was 6. He wrote out a will where he left instructions of what he wanted me to have after he was gone. A keychain my grandparents bought him that he had for more than 20 years. His dog tags from his time in the military. This bracelet that he got when he became my dad. A little bobblehead toy for his brother who died in the military, a lighter that has been passed down through multiple generations of his family, and an old school pocket watch also handed down through the family. My mom remarried after Dad died. My half-sister is now 8 and my half-brother is 5. My mom, however, decided she was not going to honor my dad's wishes. I have his dog tags, but she gave my half-sister the keychain, and she wants to give my half-brother the lighter and a pocket watch. I begged Mom not to. But my half-sister has the keychain now and she was so happy. I told her I didn't like that she had it, and I would like it back because it was my dad's. She ignored me and said we shared. And she was so happy I shared part of my dad with her. I told her that wasn't my choice. Mom told me I had a nasty attitude about it, and the last couple of years have been intense. My half-sister keeps showing off the keychain and talking proudly about how I shared it with her. Then she lost it once, and I told my mom she was evil for giving it away, when it was so easily lost by my half-sister. My half-sister was really annoying last week and kept bringing up the keychain and the fact it was my dad's and I share it with her. I told her I didn't. She told me of course I did, because she has it. I told her I never shared it, that I never would have shared it with her nor my half-brother, because they are not my dad's kids, and he would not have wanted them to have it. She told me it should be hers because we're sisters. I got so mad. I told her she was never entitled to anything my dad owned, and having that didn't mean I wanted to be her sister, and that mom was an a-hole for giving it to her. She started crying and said we're sisters, and we should share stuff like that, and I shared my dad with her. Mom was furious with me and called me a bully, and I told her I didn't care. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not a-hole at all. Can you talk to your paternal grandparents? If this was legit in a will, then someone should get you a freaking lawyer. They both have Alzheimer's, so they can't help me. Do you live near a law school? Most have clinics for people with low incomes. Realistically, you probably can't do a lot till you're an adult, unless they help you get emancipated, but it doesn't hurt to get a consult. Given your mother's theft and a general breakdown of your relationship with her, have you talked to your school counselors? Some are awful, but some may actually be able to point you to resources to assist you with your rights. I have not. Our school counselor is way too deep into the religious stuff. It always makes talking to her awkward and not very useful. I don't know about law schools. I don't think so. Not the a-hole. Steal your stuff back from your siblings and send all your dad's things to a member of your dad's family for safekeeping until you move out. Make sure you set things up with that relative ahead of time and that they understand to keep it a secret. If you can't do a family member, use a friend. If your mom or half-siblings accuse you of stealing from them, deny it and say they must have lost it again. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to help pay for my child's university fees? It's been one hell of a month, so some things I say might not make sense. I'm 40 male, recently found out that I have a child who we'll call Jane, 18 female. I wasn't convinced at first, but everything checks out. When she came to me, she told me that she just wanted to get to know her father. I wasn't really interested in a relationship, but felt it would be cruel and unnecessary to deny her this. We talked for a while, and I didn't really say much of it, but it was interesting. So after we talked for a while, I asked about her mother Grace, 40 female, and she gives me her number. I really didn't want to have to call her, but I needed answers. So Grace and I decided to meet up at a local coffee shop. We have some small talk for a while before I ask her why she never told me. Silence. So I ask again. More silence. I asked a third time and she told me that she just didn't want anything to do with me and wanted to get back at me. I point out that all she did deprived the child of a father, and she agrees. I then ask her when did she tell Jane, and she says at age 12. So I get confused, and I'm wondering why she only contacts me now. So I ask her why. Grace says that she was angry that I wasn't present in her life. We talk some more about life before we say goodbye and go our separate ways. I don't ask Jane why she didn't call sooner because she was a hurting teen and that's life. So Jane and I spent the next week bonding. Then she sits down and asks to talk. I say sure and sit down. She then goes on to explain about how difficult her life was living in a single-parent household and how money was always tight. Long story short, she asks me to pay for her university fees. Now, I am well off enough to pay for it without struggle. So I ask to see her grades, and to be truly honest, it's meh. Not bad, but nothing to give a second look. I tell her that I'll think about it, and she says thank you. So here's where I might be the a-hole. I don't want to pay for the fees. Because in reality, she is just a stranger with my DNA, and I feel like Jane might just be using me. I mean, she has had 6 years to form a relationship with me, and is only doing now that she needs something. I just want to wash my hands clean off her and Grace, and move on with my life. I don't want Jane to think I'm her financial lifeline or anything like that. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Added to add some stuff because of the comments. 1. I did a DNA test. It was what she wanted me to do to prove herself. 2. Child support laws are different in my country in the sense that A. You can't claim and claim child support if you had the option to claim it. B. Child support can't be settled after 18 unless the father knowingly disappeared, and that would take months to process, let alone prove. 3. Jane had the ability to contact me. I don't know how much influence her mother had on her choice, but I do know that I was a dial away. Not the a-hole, but neither is Jane. Grace is a tremendous a-hole to both of you. I do encourage you to seriously consider contributing to Jane's university expenses. Not to say you should or should not contribute, just seriously and honestly consider it. Think about her position, no father in her life, and a mother who won't answer any questions she has for the first 12 years. Then who knows what context Grace gave her when she finally did tell her. I'll bet she never said, "I never told your father about you because I wanted to spite him, and I didn't care what effect that had on your childhood," despite that being the truth. Instead, she undoubtedly made you into the bad guy. Jane had no way of knowing better, and you should be sympathetic to that. I don't think you're the a-hole no matter what you decide. Just don't do anything to spite Jane. She's had enough of that already. There is no reason Opie should need to feel sympathetic or be an a-hole for not being sympathetic here. Jane, while yes, is his bio daughter, is really a stranger and only really reaching out for cash. No a-holes here. She's a kid who just met her dad. University is the biggest thing on her mind, and she says dad has funds. So why not ask? I wouldn't if I was her, but I get it. And you're not the a-hole for thinking, this is weird. If it was a year or two from now after y'all have caught up, and so formed a bond, maybe. It also sucks as you didn't get a shot, but may have just gained a daughter. If it was me, I would have said let's reset, and not have this convo now as we are strangers. Let's become familiar, and we can talk way down the road on this topic. But yeah, rock and a hard place for sure. Am I the a-hole for how I responded to my mom when she said I wasn't invited to her wedding? I'm 15 female and my mother's 35 female, only daughter she has from her previous marriage. She has 3 children, the rest being 18 and 16 boys. This is important to know. Last week, my mom was talking to one of her friends about a color she wanted the bridesmaids' dresses to be. My mom had been planning this wedding with her boyfriend for the past 2 months or so. They have been engaged for about a year. The wedding is in December, and on the day before my birthday, me and my mom have been planning a party for me around the same time she was for the wedding. She insisted it was alright and that her boyfriend and her would go on their honeymoon the next day. While she was talking, I asked her when we were going to look for my dress since she had asked me to be the flower girl. I could see the disappointed look on her face when I asked her, which confused me. She responded only a few minutes later and said, "We'll talk about it later." A few hours later, my mom came to me. I thought she was going to talk about the dress situation, but instead, she sat me down and explained how her boyfriend thought it'd be a better fit for their 3 daughters to lead a wedding. Whatever, I was cool with that. But it's important to note that my mom had always wanted all girls. I was a girl, but I had looked too much like my father, which caused a strain in our relationship. My dad explained to me how my mother had postpartum when she had me and just couldn't connect with me because of it. So when she gave birth to my 3 younger half-siblings who all looked like her, triplets 6 years old, she was obviously overjoyed. It hurt to see, but I was happy for her. My brothers had a similar experience but were significantly better because they looked more like her. I know this is an overdramatic thing to say, but sometimes I feel like my mother didn't feel as connected with me at birth was because I was a letdown right out the gate. After she was done, I asked her again about the dress because I still didn't have one. Again, that same disappointed look on her face came, before telling me I wasn't invited to the wedding simply because her boyfriend thought I would upset his family because I was from my mom's previous marriage, and he didn't like my dad. She also explained how my birthday isn't happening either due to him wanting to go on their honeymoon right away. It turned into a screaming match, with me yelling, "I'm sorry I don't look like you enough for you to love me. I'm sorry you were too conceited for you to get over the fact that I look like my dad." I was kicked out by her boyfriend within the same hour because she had cried to him about what I said. All my brothers know what happened and have now refused to go to the wedding, which upset her even more. Though I don't care about how she feels right now. My brothers had an actual relationship with her and I probably just messed it up by letting my anger get the best of me. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I live with my dad full-time. There isn't any custody agreement that I know of. I usually visit my mom on my own free will, or when she asks me to come over, so I'm not obligated to go over there. My parents were only married 2 years prior to having my second brother, divorcing after his birth. They dated after the divorce as a way to make up with each other, but it didn't work out, but they had me. Now for the top comments. Info. Your mom has 3 kids, being you and your older brothers, but also she gave birth to girl triplets who are your half-sisters? Are your older brothers your full brothers? If they are the kids of your father, whom your stepfather doesn't like, why are they invited to the wedding? They are my full brothers. The only half-siblings I have are the ones my mom had with her boyfriend. My brothers were invited because they get along well with my mom and her boyfriend. My mom claims we argue too much and she wants to keep the peace, so she normally invites me over when she knows he won't be there. Not the a-hole in any way, shape, or form. This makes me so sad for you. Your mom, on the other hand, and her fiancé are major a-holes. Her mother isn't just an a-hole, she's a fiend in human form. I hope one day she is ashamed of doing this, but I doubt she's that self-aware. Not the a-hole. This is super messed up and I'm glad that you have the support of your brothers. Your mom is only upset because you confronted her with the truth. Exactly this. Mother is upset because her sons turned on her. What kind of mother doesn't invite her own kid to their wedding? Not the a-hole. Also, fiancé must have some real insecurities to be so jealous of the ex that he would take it out on the daughter. The truth is that both the mom and fiancé suit each other perfectly. It's like they both rolled around the same bag of turd and came out of the a-hole as one combined mess. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for threatening to cancel my wedding because my family were making bets on how long it would take my fiancé to regret marrying me? My wedding is supposed to be at the end of this month, but I'm planning to cancel everything and have a courthouse wedding. Because my cousin told me my family were making bets on how long it would take my fiancé to realize he wasn't getting the good little wife he was expecting and regrets marrying me. When I confronted them, they said it was just a harmless joke and that I didn't have the personality to be a submissive housewife, which a man like my fiancé would obviously want. My sister-in-law made a joke about making sure my fiancé didn't realize until after the wedding while I was confronting them. I was already upset, but her joke just made it 10 times worse, and I told everybody I was going to cancel the wedding. My family told me I couldn't do that because people would talk, and my future in-laws wouldn't be happy about it. But I told them I didn't care, and they could tell everybody why I never had a wedding ceremony. My parents are telling me not to cancel the wedding as I would regret it in the long run, and it would be embarrassing for our family and me for it to be canceled now. But I'm not backing down. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, but have your wedding. Just uninvite your family. Not the a-hole, and why have you not just done this? Cancel invites for whoever is in on this joke. Hire security and make sure they are escorted out if they show up. I am with you, but honestly, Opie sounds a bit too immature to get married yet. That her immediate response to her family hurting her is to also hurt herself. Not really a healthy response. Didn't even ask fiancé how he feels about the now cancelled wedding. Like, if I am marrying someone and she cancels the wedding to stick it to her family, I'm gonna have a whole lot of questions/problems. Her family's literally betting against her marriage lasting. Screw them. If she still wants to have a wedding, she should definitely still have it, and just uninvite everyone in on that bet. Also, she said hubby doesn't care either way as long as they get married. Opie said a big wedding was expected as well. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for defending what my mom said about our unborn baby and telling my wife to stop picking fights with her? My mom and my wife did not get along. Probably never will. I told my mom right off the bat that my partner was going to come first, and my mom said she understands that, but I can't make her like her, and that set the tone for our current distant relationship. My wife is currently pregnant with our first child. My mom did make a brief appearance at the shower and gave, to be honest, an awful gift. I know that sounds entitled, but based on her income, it was kind of crappy. My mother-in-law, on the other hand, is over the moon and seems to think this is her do-over baby. She talks about nothing but the baby. Both extremes are annoying, to be honest. Anyway, we saw my mom recently at the wedding and we're all seated at the same table. Some people at the table were talking about my mom's upcoming wedding and making a big deal about it and asking a lot of questions. My mother-in-law turned the topic back to the baby shower and then commented that my mom really doesn't seem excited. My mom laughed it off and said she's getting married, she literally doesn't care about anything else. I could see the hurt on my wife's face. My wife demanded to know who would say something like that. My mom said, "Nothing person, but her wedding is much more exciting to her than someone else's baby." My mother-in-law was horrified and reminded my mom that it was her grandbaby. My mom said yes, so not her baby, but her wedding. My wife mouthed to my mom, "I literally hate you," and that was the end of that. After we left, I brought up to my wife that I don't think what she said was fair. They don't like each other, and my mom understands not liking the mom means she won't be close to our child. And to be honest, she's right. It isn't her child, but it is her wedding. I get why that is more exciting for her. My wife was very offended, said I shouldn't have taken my mom's side, and said I disrespected our baby. Now for the comments. Everyone sucks here. This was someone else's wedding, and you all were bringing drama where it shouldn't be. OMG, imagine if you got stuck sharing a table with them. I don't know. Their clueless drama seems entertaining. Everyone sucks here. Literally everyone. You, your wife, mom, mother-in-law, and it's someone else's wedding no less. What did the mom do? Repeatedly telling her son and daughter-in-law that she didn't care about their child, only her wedding. She was trying to hurt the wife and get a reaction. Mission complete. She deserves a pass. Mother-in-law and daughter-in-law were trying to make it all about them, whereas mom simply replied to their incessant prompts. Mother-in-law/daughter-in-law, why are you not talking about our lives? Mom, because it's not my life. You do you, I do me. Mother-in-law/daughter-in-law, but why? Aren't you excited for us? Mom, good for you for making this choice, but I still think I'm more excited about things I chose. You do you, I do me. They try to paint her as a bad person and she simply deflected their attempts. It's why daughter-in-law is angry at OP. To be honest, I can see why mom decided she doesn't like her daughter-in-law. Next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my brother and sister-in-law they were inconsiderate to announce their pregnancy because of my sister?" My sister, Dana, just had a miscarriage less than 5 days ago, which is why I told Nina, 24 female, and Kevin, 24 male, they were insensitive. My family just had a family dinner and we mainly spent the time comforting Dana as that is what the family dinner was mainly about. But then Nina and Kevin said they had an announcement to make. They basically said that they were expecting their first baby and Dana immediately started crying. Once her husband calmed her down, I told them they were very inconsiderate to announce that, especially considering this event was about Dana, not them. Also, the wound is still so fresh, so they definitely could have waited to announce or just not announce it where Dana was around. Not to mention, Nina is only 6 weeks pregnant, so she definitely could have waited to announce. Also, isn't it not ideal to announce pregnancy so early due to high risk of pregnancy? Nina and Kevin told me that the world didn't revolve around Dana, and that they had every right in the world to announce the pregnancy. I told them that yes, the world didn't revolve around Dana, but that doesn't change the fact they were still very inconsiderate to announce a pregnancy, when we were legit comforting someone who just recently had a miscarriage. They ended up leaving after realizing everyone was on my side, and told us we are all toxic for being on Dana's side when they did nothing wrong. Nina and Kevin definitely could have waited another day to announce, or make another meeting to announce it instead of doing it in an event that wasn't about them. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. The whole entire ordeal was organized to comfort Dana for her miscarriage, not for your brother and his wife to announce their pregnancy. Highly insensitive on their behalf, and sure the world doesn't revolve around Dana, but at the same time it did. And also, it's very bad luck and rare to announce a pregnancy at such an early stage. Yes, I mean to each their own, but the rule of thumb is 3 months give or take. A lot happens in the first 12 weeks. Some women don't even realize they're pregnant or miscarrying/miscarried, etc. So I'd say it's a little early for an announcement, but massive a-hole for just springing that onto a mourning woman. Not the a-hole. Nina and Kevin told me that the world didn't revolve around Dana, and that they had every right in the world to announce the pregnancy. Found the a-holes. That seals it. Who announces at a family dinner meant to comfort a relative who recently had a miscarriage? People determined to make it about them, yet can't understand why the spotlight is not on them in a happy way. Yeah, no, not the time, not the place. I've noticed some people seem to think that baby news makes people happy. So they think if people are sad, then announcing a pregnancy or showing newborn pictures, etc. would cheer everyone up. But when people are sad because they just lost their own baby, that doesn't do anything except reinforce their loss. Nina and Kevin had every right to hold their own family dinner to announce their pregnancy, instead of hijacking the one arranged to support Dana. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to be present at my sister's birth? I, 21 female, have a sister, 27 female live, who will be giving birth in a couple weeks, I guess, and she's doing a home birth. She has made elaborate plans for her labor and is excited for the process. I'm also excited for her too, but honestly, it seems a little scary to me. I've unfortunately seen my mom's labor footage and it was not a good experience. I was legit traumatized. Now, the thing is that Liv wants to be surrounded by family while in labor. By family, I mean her husband and a few female family members from both sides. Her sister-in-law is coming, and from our side, mom will be there. When the conversation came up the other day, she totally just casually said that we will get her through it. I told her that I was not going to be there, because I'm not sure if I would be able to stay calm seeing her agitated, and of course witnessing the bloody miracle of birth. She was surprised that I was saying such a thing. I tried to reason with her and said that I'll support her in every other way, like cooking or cleaning her house, but I just don't want to be there when she's all screaming and the baby's coming out. She got super angry and lectured me on how I was ruining her perfect labor plan. And then mom also got on my back that I was being squeamish for no reason. Liv then got super emotional and mom tried to calm her down and gestured for me to leave, which I did. I understand that Liv is emotional, of course, because she's just about to give birth, but I really don't think I'll be a stable person during that process. So it's better that I come after her. I have no problem in taking care of her, and of course I love the baby so much after it's born. But I just can't stop feeling so guilty for saying no to Liv, and of course she became quite stressed because of my refusal. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your sister seems to not understand the difference between an invitation and a summons. It makes sense when you realize momzillas were just a short evolutionary step from bridezillas. It was bound to happen. I came here to make the same comment. My God, she probably already has plans for that child. Perfect plans that disregard the autonomy of everyone else in her life, just like her perfect labor plan does, embedding crunchy mommy influencer aspirations. As a mother, nothing goes to plan. Nothing. OMG, this. I gave birth to my first almost 16 years and birth plans were just kind of becoming a thing. I asked my doctor about it. First, she laughed, right in my face. Not unkindly, but I really think it was her honest reaction. Then she very kindly said, I will listen to everything you say and do my best to do whatever I can for you, but I can promise you that nothing will go the way you plan it. Nothing. My job is to make sure you and the baby are safe and that will take priority. So my best advice is to go with the flow, and you and I will keep open communication the whole time. She was the best, and when I had a scary emergency C-section, I didn't feel disappointed or let down at all, because mentally I was prepared for anything, not just what I wanted to happen. I just felt grateful my baby and I were alive and healthy. I think that social media has made expectations for so many things. Weddings, pregnancy, birth, motherhood, so unrealistic. And it's not fair to women that they then never feel good enough or that they missed out on something. Not the whole. If her perfect labor plan can't accommodate one person who isn't the midwife or even the father being absent, I shudder to think how she's going to handle it if there are complications, or the baby just comes too darn fast to gather everyone.